Hi guys, and welcome back to the OnlyAccies podcast, episode 2. I am once again joined by Brandon. Brandon, thank you very much for coming back.
No problem.
And I'm also joined by David. Now, a lot of people won't know David. David actually created OnlyAccies. He's the man behind it all. He's the guy who runs all the social medias and does all the graphics you see online. So David, thank you for joining us on the podcast. Quite a lot we can talk about today, despite there being a lack of football on. Obviously, the coronavirus being a big one, suspending the league, what will happen with it. We'll also be looking ahead to the contract offers that have apparently been made to players and ones that have been signed, Marius Ogumpo and David Moyle being those two. We'll also look ahead at Hearts. What have Hearts been talking about recently? 50% wage cut. Will they be going into the Championship? Will they be relegated? Or will the season become null and void and will start again after the summer? We'll also be looking back at some of our favourite all-time players and perhaps a game that stands out to us. So, let's start with the coronavirus. There's no football, and there hasn't been for 2 weeks. What have you guys been doing at the weekends when there's no football? You were due to go to Dingwall, of course, which is obviously a famous away day.
Like, it was like Dingwall's their sort of Christmas Eve. Like, Christmas is such, like the Friday we were expecting, we were all buzzing. Then I was in work, and then got a notification on the phone, all Scottish football's cancelled. I was absolutely gutted. So, of course, Friday night, because I was meant to stay in, go out and get pissed, drown my sorrows. And no, the Saturday I actually stayed in because I was too hungover to move.
And David, what was it like for you? Obviously, you're so used to making graphics. Saturday's obviously a very busy day for you. What was that like?
It was a good day off, to be fair. No, I was getting all the stuff ready on Friday, and then, like Brendan said, I seen the tweet went up, and I had a funny feeling I'm not going to be doing as much for a wee while.
But there's a lot of talk about what will actually happen to the season. Will the season just become void? Will everything be erased and we'll start again? Will Hearts be relegated because they fit bottom? Will Celtic be crowned champions, as we suspect they will be anyway? What do you guys think is going to happen, realistically looking ahead?
Like, you saw UEFA come out and say they're hoping every season in Europe finishes at the end of June. I don't see that happening. The outbreak's just really starting in Scotland as it is just here, so there's no way they can, if they're making it, if it is as big as what it's going to be, there's not a chance that's going to happen. So I think the SFA are going to have to make a decision on what actually happens, and I think the outcome would have to be, because I don't think you can null and void it, in my opinion. I don't see that happening. So I think what will happen is, because I don't see them, we've wanted the league to be expanded for quite some years now, so I don't think they're ready to do that as of yet. So I think what will happen is Celtic will be champions, Hearts will go down, and there won't be a playoff fixture, and we'll wait until see
the way the standings are at the moment. Do you think that's how it will
it finishes, in my opinion?
That's how it will stay. Do you agree with that, David?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and obviously you're saying no playoffs. We would most likely be against a team like Ayr and Inverness. Do you fancy their chances against them?
100%. I mean, watching, I think since we've been out the Championship, the last few years watching the Championship, now it's on the telly a bit more. I remember even the year St Mirren went up, I mean obviously they had guys like Lewis Morgan, but apart from that I've never felt there was much of a standard there. Don't get me wrong, like when we last played a playoff, we came against a pretty decent Dundee United side, and I don't think we had any danger with them.
No.
I mean, obviously I think there is a gulf in class. I think it's just when you're used to seeing a team struggling week to week. I mean, you forget even about the year that Motherwell pumped Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
That was a poor, we pumped that team 3-4 times a year that year, and then they go and totally outplay Rangers. There is a different class.
There's a gulf there. There's a gulf, and I think we're kind of seeing that obviously. But looking ahead, there was news that came out talking about Hearts being relegated recently. They were told a few weeks ago that no matter the decision, if they were getting relegated, Anne Budge was going to go to court. She was going to appeal this decision, try and get it reversed, whatever it is it may be. We're now being told that Hearts have asked players and staff to take a 50% wage cut, half their wage, to make sure they're still paid, if any, and they still keep their jobs. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is only the start. A lot of other Scottish teams will have to do this. Hearts are just the first ones to do it. Other people are saying this is them preparing for the Championship and preparing To go down and lose a huge bit of money, and obviously me and Brandon were saying before the podcast started that if they go to the Championship, they're going to lose the majority of their first team. Sutton will go, Suter will go, Naismith will go, Uchi will probably go. Do you guys think that's what it is, or do you think other Scottish teams will follow suit and will soon see other Scottish teams having to take the same deficit or maybe even more?
I don't think anyone will be as severe as Hearts. It just seems like they're really unorganised. I mean, they do have good money coming in. I just don't think they're run that well. I mean, if you think of teams like Livy, who since they came up, they've brought really good players for the lower leagues up. They don't pay crazy money. They'll pay that little bit more when they need to. If they had the resources that Hearts have, they'd probably be up there, top 4 maybe. But the way Hearts do, they seem to just feel that if teams like Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen are doing this, they've got to do it. They've got to pay $10,000 a week, and it just seems like a total mess. I mean, I can honestly say whenever we've played them, there's not a single player that I thought, oh, they're the class above us. Not one.
Brandon?
Like he's going on about, Dave's going on about resources and stuff like that, and I think that brings us back to ourselves. Like, ever since we were in financial difficulty and Ronnie came in and saved us by buying us for £1, I think honestly, like, just how well financially we are run, and ourselves and Livy both in that bracket, we don't have that much fans at all, but it's not affecting us at all just because how cleverly ran we are, in the matter of fact of our transfer policies, how we go about with our expenditure and stuff like that, and also the way in which we bring our income, with obviously the majority of that coming from our sort of youth system which we go into sell on. But with regards to Hearts, no, I think they're fucked. To put it like I said previously there, I think this is what will happen. They'll go down, and I think even if hopefully this virus fucks off and we can finish the season, which I do hope it does, don't get me wrong, just if someone says to you right now, you'll stay up and you get to that's you up for next season, I don't want that. I want the Fitbit back, right? You know what I mean? So that's not something that really appeals to me if I was guaranteed safety, you know. But I think if Hearts, even where the season came back and Hearts did stay up, I think they're fucked as well, because the money they'll bring in from their league position, like David was touching on, the way they spend their money is just ridiculous. Like,
the statements they need to make, it's not sensible. They always have to get, like, I mean, I know in his career Stephen Naismith has been a great player, but he's no better than anything we've got now. He's not performing any better than anything we've got now, and the equivalent that we have is a lot cheaper. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, talking about being cheaper there, we saw that 2 players signed a new contract just recently. Marius Ogumpo, who's on a great run of form recently, and obviously David Moyle, who scored 2 goals for Accies, with two winners and 2 very important goals, one against Motherwell and of course one at Ibrox against Rangers. Now, we read in the paper that a few players look to be following suit. Anne McGowan, Mikael Miller and Alex Gogic all offered contract extensions. Do you think there's any truth to those rumours, or do you think this is just the club trying to tie down players for next season?
I think obviously not just with ourselves, there's a lot of uncertainty in football right now. If they wanted the football season to come back before the 30th of June, quite a lot of players go out of contract in that date. Do you know what I mean? So I think it does show a good statement of intent from Accies, the fact they're trying to get these players down even with the ongoing situation, because they could just be like, oh, just let their contracts run out, we don't know what's going to go and we'll wait until we see what happens. But they're doing it at this moment in time when there's all this uncertainty, so I think that's fair play to Accies for doing so. But it's on the other note for the players sort of thing, they don't know what's happening either, so they could be getting offers from other places, but I don't see much clubs offering players apart from their own contracts at this moment in time because of the uncertainty which is going on. But
no pre-contracts anywhere.
Aye.
I mean, I think going back to what we were talking when I was mentioning teams like Livy, I mean, Brandon obviously mentioned about how Accies are financially run. As a fan, it can be really frustrating because our transfer policy is kind of, not to kind of have a dig at the club, but if nobody else wants them,
It's incredibly frustrating, yeah.
But at the same time, it is frustrating. I mean, there's players like Livy will pick some of the best players for down the league. As a fan, you're sitting saying, why can't we do that? Yeah. But at the same time, you look at teams like Partick Thistle, they recruited well in their opinion, and look at them now. They had a top 6 push, and then the next thing you know, they're relegated. Now they're potentially relegated again. I mean, if you look at records, probably the same thing's coming for Livy. I mean, when you start spending money on guys like F.A. Ambrose, that are only going to be there a year or so, he won't be cheap. You might find that the money start running out, they start going down the league, whereas we kind of just float wherever we are. We will live within our means and stay within our means. And like you say, it's never pretty, never ever pretty. We might not have a top 6 season, but they're doing what they want to do.
I mean, I was listening to another podcast called the Talking Football podcast, and they did one with Mikel Antoine Curie, and that kind of got me through and going through a wee list of them. And I saw they had one with Martin Canning, and he spoke about talking about never having a top 6 finish. He spoke about when he took over from Alec Neil, we were in, we were 3rd or 4th maybe in the league. At one point we were top.
I think we had like 41 points at that point.
We were cruising high. And he was saying basically when he was brought in that the mantra he was given, the objective he was given was just finish the season. Because we knew at that point we were never going to get relegated. We had such a big gap.
Nearly did.
We were but I think the kind of thought for them was just stay in the league, learn on the job, and go again next season once you kind of know exactly what you're doing. That's what he said. But do you think that maybe says something about Accies, where even in a season where we're in the top 4, we're possibly going for European football, we've got the best start we've ever had, the players we've got, like I said, aren't necessarily any better than anybody else's, but the way Neil got them playing was so much so that they were so much better. Do you think that maybe says something about Accies, where even at that stage we were still saying just don't get relegated to a new manager coming in?
I think it's like the financial thing, like David touched on with F.A. Ambrose, like that could come back and bite them in the arse so much. So look at the situation now. Like, God knows what he's on. He must be on a good wage. Like, obviously he was at Celtic.
Realistically, easy $1,000.
Minimum.
1,500.
And that's a lot of money. We know what we pay. And like you were touching on previously about like a sort of frustrating how we bring players in. I think the past few seasons, like maybe 2 or 3, we have been slightly better. Like for instance, Temp's signing deadline day. I think given like the first 2 seasons Cannon was in charge, I don't think you'd have saw that type of signing. I thought they'd have just allowed him to have sort of what he's got and play with that. But going back to your original question, I think they're just very financially wary.
Yeah.
Like the financial thing with F.A. Ambrose that David was saying, that could come back to bite them in the arse something hugely. Like, we don't know what he's on. Like, it could be, I'm saying minimum $1,500.
Easy.
And they've done that obviously thinking they had defensive problems. They had to sort that because they were pushing for a top 6 finish. And look at we're in now. Like, he'll be getting that wage per week without kicking a ball, so it's pretty pointless that he's on that.
I mean, we're talking about the transfer markets have been better recently. Part of me would agree and part of me wouldn't. So, good business, Brian Easton, thought he was great. David Templeton signing deadline day. But then when you look back at the season, like Adam McGowan came in, who's obviously turned into someone fantastic. Who else came in?
They changed a sort of like, I think we all took a bit
back. 15 players.
Like they completely changed the way in which they would go. Obviously we were used to our whole European duds. They went to a whole new sort of policy of going down south, and we obviously signed players like Kieran Monlue,
who's currently playing non-league. By the way, he scored a brace a few weeks ago in non-league football. So
Brandon could do that.
Aaron Smith.
Aaron Smith, somebody who I will touch on briefly. He was such an odd person because when he signed, he was top scorer.
Nottingham Forest, the sort of under 23s.
and you're thinking it kind of fits Aki's model, young player, good potential, maybe we can build on it. But then it was just like as soon as he joined, the attitude seemed to just be completely
not there, non-existent,
completely off the wall, and just I don't know. I don't really thought he was better than Aki's, but then you're thinking, why here then? If that's the case, he started arguing with fans on Twitter and all that. And then you've got other people who came in at the time, like Alex Penny, who played. I think he played a full season, but was one of the worst defenders I've ever seen.
Horrendous. But see, when you looked at his past pedigree, he was at that Jamie Vardy school,
Academy,
and then he went to Peterborough and he was playing regularly, so you can see where, I don't know if Accies have got the scouts actually properly going to look at them, or they're just going off the back of what an agent's telling them and seeing who their previous appearances was. Because I think we obviously do have a good scouting system in place for certain players, but then you look at like players like Alex Penny, which you'd think coming in for Peterborough, League One side, who are a fairly top end League One side, you think, no, this will be a good centre half, but he was fucking rotten.
See, I think what we did, especially in that window, was we bought in bulk and just hoped somebody fit. You know, we threw darts at a dartboard and just hoped somebody stuck. So Aaron McGowan stuck, obviously, but I mean, Mason Bloomfield, he came in and scored 1 goal. It was a winner against Livy, and then like 90th minute, he's now down in England, I think playing for Fleetwood.
Broke his leg or something like that.
He just really had a bad injury. I think the transfer policy has improved, especially bringing people like David Hamilton and Brian Easton in, but the big bulk signings seem to just be shots at a dark.
I think we were took aback by it all, because I think obviously Accies were renowned for being very socially poor. Social media signing in the way in which they announced signings, like the one that sticks out is when we signed
Charlie Scott.
You're
going to say that. That was
upside down
horrific.
picture. We have like 3 lines.
2 sentences it was.
And this is a person you've signed from Man U, and that's how you're announcing them. But so bad. But obviously when we signed the bulk players like that, it's getting fans excited, even though we don't know their past, because they've announced them quite good on Twitter. Fans can interact, retweet, share on Facebook and stuff like that. So obviously it gave us a sort of buzz. I remember seeing some absolute ridiculous comments on Facebook, like when they saw these signings without a ball being kicked, which just sums up some of your fans. Oh, great signings, pushing for top 6, can go for Europe, and you're like, how can you predict that when you don't even know how they kick a ball, just going by how you've watched them or signing them in Football Manager?
Don't get me wrong, there is signings that when we've made them, I mean, I'm not that bad, but like there's guys that you definitely expected better for.
Aye.
I mean, the biggest one definitely this season is Blair Alston. I mean, that's a guy that I've genuinely wanted us to sign for years.
I think we did try and sign him a few years ago as well.
I remember when it was that Falkirk team, they had like Tom Tyo, Craig Sibbald and Blair Alston, the 3 of them. I just wanted at Accies. When Tom Tyo came, I remember saying to people, he'll be class, he's great pedigree, no Scottish football. He didn't do bad, but he didn't do anything.
No.
He just sat in the middle. But Blair Alston, I would give the guy credit and think maybe just we don't suit him, because I mean, for example, if you look at Amy's highlight reels, a lot of his goals just come out of nothing. And even, for example, the game, who was it? Is it still in Albion we played?
In the cup?
The very first cup game, he scored the volley. And that just said to me that's it, the guy's going to be class, because this is what he can do. We never had anyone that could just shoot a shot for 30 yards out of nothing, apart from maybe Temps. And he just doesn't look threatening at all. I
think one thing I'll give Blair Alston credit for is I think he works. I don't think he stops running, and I think that's something that I can applaud. But I mean, like you were touching on, when he signed, and obviously the goal he scored against us for Falkirk was shared everywhere. Look what he's going to do in the league and all that. And I think he works hard, and I think maybe that's why Brian Rice favours him, is because he likes a workhorse in the middle, same with Scott Martin. But he's just not bringing it, he's not creating anything.
I don't think that's him though. I think that's down to what we play, because I don't even know what his position is with us. I mean, does he play in the right? Does he play in the middle? I mean, as far as I was aware at Falkirk, he was always behind strikers. But as far as I'm aware, they only ever played one. So I genuinely just think that he doesn't suit us.
I think there are moments when I do see kind of what he could bring, where I said when I was interviewing Fan after the Motherwell game that was the best, the 0-0 draw, that was the best I've seen Blair Alston play, because he created, I think, 2 or 3 really good chances from like clever balls, clever passes, clever crosses, and we just couldn't finish, obviously. But I don't know, Blair Alston's definitely one who I think that can still bring something, he just doesn't seem to be showing it.
It's like David says, when he played with that Falkirk team, Taiwo, Alston, Sibbald, even Scotty Arfield back in the day, like he was one of the players that you were thinking when backies were in the actual in the SPL the first time around, like, please sign him, he can do something for us. He's got that, and he's only 27 now.
He's not old, do you know
but
what I mean?
He looks as if he needs oiled half the time. Honestly, he does. He looks as if he needs to come off the part like the Tin Man and give him some oil. It just looks so. I don't know what it is. It's like, I'm not his biggest hater, because I think there is something that he can bring in a game. Like he says, he is a bit of a workhorse, but he's for not an old guy, he's so slow and just so immobile at the moment. I don't know what's up with him, because I was really not expecting this to be how he was for us. But I just,
one of the big things to maybe pick out is, we're talking about all his goals and everything for Falkirk. That was in the Championship. Don't get me wrong, he did score. I know he scored a couple of crackers for St Johnstone against Rangers, teams like that, but he didn't get a regular game at St Johnstone. So it might be that maybe it's not his level. A creative guy like that, you don't get, especially playing for a team like Accies where we are, you don't get a lot of time on the ball, you don't get many chances, you don't get many people in front of you to pass to either. Usually if we get MD up, it's Augie on his own. So it might just be that maybe our team or the level we're playing at doesn't suit him, and he might be a Championship player. And it's a harsh thing to say, but it might just be the creative player like that. I mean, another example might be James Keatons. I think we all expected a bit better last season from him. Don't get me wrong, he definitely delivered at certain times, but again, we're used to seeing what he's delivering on the Championship.
And he still is in the Championship. He's scoring, he's playing regularly.
I think that actually shows with every club he's been with, he's always done a great job in the Championship. But that's it, touching back to Dave's point. Everybody always talks about the massive gulf between the English Championship and the English Premier League, but nobody really ever touches upon the gulf between the Scottish Championship and the Premiership. But there is, you can see it's huge. You can see it is, like when even you watch the Friday night live games, it is. And I think that's probably what David's spot on about, that's why it shows so much in the Championship rather than the Premiership, where you don't get time on the ball and you don't have, especially playing with clubs like Accies and St Johnstone, you're not always going to have the ball, you're not always going to have time to like express yourself as such. So I think that's why we're not seeing what we saw at Falkirk. Well,
I think it's a bigger deal when you get relegated for the Scottish Premiership than the English, because when we go down, look at teams like Dundee and Partick Thistle, when you go down, your entire squad goes with you, so they don't stick around, so you're rebuilding. So it's not a case of you've got a good team that's competing, you just miss out and staying up in the Premiership, you're going to have another go. You rebuild completely. I mean, granted, we've tied down Brian Easton, Ogbo and Moyo. They 3 guys would do well in the Championship, really well. If you had guys like Scotty Martin, Alan McGowan, they would do more than well in that league. But the thing is, when you go down, these are the kind of guys that won't want to play there. So it is a big deal. I mean, look at, you can only imagine the amount of players that left Thistle or left Dundee last year. That's why they struggle, and you've got to get players that are ready to step up. So it is a big deal going down.
And we touched on what Blaine Alston can bring and the difference he can make. You touched on Marius Ogden, David Moyer there, 2 players who have signed new contracts. How big of a deal do you think that is? We're talking about contracts earlier on, but how big of a deal do you think signing these 2 players on who are making big differences in the team, winning games single-handedly? What impact do you think that will have on the squad as a whole?
Huge. Man, I got to admit, I love Moyo, and like the guys. Like, don't get me wrong, the guy scored 2 goals, but I think it's just since he's came in. If you think of Mikael Miller as well, the difference in the guy physically since he's came to our club. I mean, going back to Mikael Miller, I remember the first time I saw Mikael Miller. It was the end of the season before we were away to Partick Thistle, and the guy came on and he had nothing on him. He looked totally out his depth. He couldn't hold up the ball. And now look at the guy. David Moyo as well. The guy's built. The guy's fit. The guy's really athletic. He can jump. He wins everything in the air for what I've seen him. I think he will get better and better. And the fact he's coming from non-league as well, I think that's just exciting. I mean, I don't know if it's more exciting buying a player like Kevin Nisbet. I mean, for example, if you're a Dunfermline fan, buying Kevin Nisbet, seeing a guy with a crazy goal record, and then first thing he does is start where he left off. That must be a hell of a feeling. Or bringing somebody like Mikael Miller or Moyo out of nothing, and then seeing that it pays off. It's. I mean, I've got a lot of time for him, and it's great to see him do well. And then you've got the big guy as well. He's just. I mean, I think it's because of how well he's doing at the moment. People forget that he was really off it.
Yeah,
he was horrendous.
Like, you can't say enough how disappointing he was at the start of the season, and then it felt like as soon as the telecameras came out, which isn't good enough. It isn't good enough, and it'll be irritating if it takes him half a season to get going again. But I think on his day, he's one of the best strikers we've had in recent years.
Well, I remember I went to all the pre-season games, and I think it was up at Dumbarton. I was talking to Ben McNichol, another Hamilton fan, and we watched Augie, and he was captain of the team. It was an under-18s team that they put in.
I remember that game, aye.
Brian Rice was there, but it was Dougie Imney who was in the Boozy who were doing most of the coaching. It was an under-18s team. The only first-team player in the team was Marius Ogumpo, who they captained, put up top. He rounded the keeper about 3 times and missed open goals. They brought him off after about 45 minutes. It was just about half time, obviously. He was not happy, and me and Ben turned each other and went, that's him done. He was like, he won't play the rest of the season. He started, like you said, did not have a good start to the season at all, but just recently I think he's on 7 goals now, which makes him joint top goal scorer in the league with Ross Cunningham, who's off on loan obviously. So I think he is making an impact recently, but like David said, it's not consistent enough. And I think if we keep him again for next season, whenever the season does start with all this going on, if it takes him half a season to pick up again,
I think we need to remember as well, when he first signed, he was one of the we've signed him a European signing, European dud, one of your typical Accies signing. Agents gave us a big list, we fucking picked it. We don't know how we picked it, through a dart, and that's the name that's came out.
Saris, Scondras, Curricans, just all them getting
Cura Pops, I forgot about him. He was so fucking shite.
He came in as a replacement to Stephen Hendry as well.
Aye, so we got money for Hendry and replaced him with Anton's Cura Pops, as we called him. But no, Augie, when we signed him, obviously he was like a sub striker. He would come on and off, but then he got that bad injury, so we didn't really see much of him. And then this is his only first full season he's had back since that injury, and you can obviously tell the difference in him just size wise. He's a big lad now. When he first signed, he was always quite tall and that, but now he's proper built. And I remember Augie when he first signed, I was doing Hamilton a few times, and you'd see him walking by with KFCs and House of Shaz, which is I'm doing in Hamilton, right? I'm guaranteed you don't see him doing that now, because, and he is, but he isn't consistent enough just now. But we touched on it in the last podcast. If, for instance, the season does start again and we do go down, or if we're put down via playoffs or whatnot, it'd be a brilliant player in the Championship. And the same with Moyo, because they two offer. I don't know if other teams don't know what to do when we play them together, because it is something different. I don't think you see any other teams with that sort of partnership in the league, because it's a completely just new complex. If they don't know what's going to happen, because Moyo, I think David touched on it, he wins everything in there. I'm not his biggest fan, because obviously 2 goals in 19 games or stuff like that, but it offers you this something, because he's got a wee bit of pace about him. He wins everything in the air, and it just makes an absolute nuisance to himself. So I think they two signing will be good for wherever we end up next season, whenever it eventually does come back.
I remember somebody mentioned something to me about Augie signing was that obviously Gogic had out of contract at the end of the season where.
That was me that said that.
Was it you that said it? Or there you go. There you go. Well, like, does that mean that Gogic will sign?
I mean, as far as
because he's his translator basically.
Aye, because as far as I'm aware, Augie doesn't speak a word English.
Oh, he's English. I met him.
I don't know if you can tell the story.
Apologies, Augie, but I was out one Thursday night. This was when he first signed, right? So he's obviously this is completely ages ago. So he's a changed man, built new. This is his past. So we were out one Thursday night. I think it was like a bank holiday weekend. So we've obviously got the weekend off, and me and my pal Ben Guthrie were outside having a fag, and I noticed this figure walking down Hamilton. I'm like, I recognise that. And he get closer and I was like, that's Augie. I'm like, oh, Augie, what's happening, my man? And he just looks at me a bit puzzled. He's like, you drink? And he's giving it the hand gesture. I'm like, aye. He's like, I come in. I'm like, I know. So me and Ben's took him in, and he's been buying his whiskies and whatnot all night. And the big man was fucking steaming. He was absolute legless, and my bird at the time was fucking raging enough as that I was out. So I'm like, right guys, I'm calling it a night, I'm fucked, I need to go home. But Big Augie, that's a Thursday night, Big Augie and Ben goes down to the Palace. He's out to 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Brilliant.
I've spoken to Augie a few times, and like I say, his English isn't.
It's not there because that was back then, and obviously I think me and you had a wee word with him when he was leaving before last week's podcast, and it didn't seem much better. So, but I think he obviously must like it. It's like, because people would have been shown interest in him showing, because Celtic and the Rangers games on TV, you saw how he was playing, so you see that on the TV, so he must have been getting interest with clubs.
Here's an interesting one. My friend Lewis, who writes for French football and foreign European football, he sent me a link that just said Google Translate this, and it's a Greek newspaper. It's called the Gazeta. And I was just assuming it's just Gazette. And basically what it says is that Scottish Championship teams are interested. It's done this again for some reason. No, it hasn't. Yeah, we're good. Anyway, it says basically that Scottish Championship teams are interested in Marius Ogumpo and have been looking at him. This is obviously before all the Corona stuff happened, so before the season was suspended. But according to some Greek newspapers, there are some Championship teams that are interested in Marius Ogumpo. Where there's any truth to that?
See, in that manner.
No, Scottish.
Aye, but like putting it in that way, do you think they are meaning by Scottish Championship as in the top tier, or do you think they're meaning, does it say like League One, or what does it say? Do you think they're meaning by Scottish Championship?
They're meaning like our Scottish Championship,
right? Okay.
The Scottish Premiership is what I'm assuming. But I mean, my thought process is, why would he leave?
Aye, that's true.
I think the solution to it is a lot less glamorous than what we think it is. I mean, I think the big reason that Marius Ogbo will sign, I think, is because we've yet to hear, but I think Gogic would have signed a new deal. End of the day, the guy, whenever I've seen him not on the park, he's with Gogic, Gogic's family. I think he wouldn't commit to anything without having his pal there.
Aye.
I mean, even Temp's returning. I mean, we'd like to think it's
sentimental.
Aye, but what it is, as far as I was aware, his wife stays up here. He was down in Burton. They're due to have a baby. I think they've now had the baby, and he wanted to be up here. Accies was an open door for him. So as great as that is for us, I think it's a lot less glamorous than what we'd all think it would be. So I think the main reason Ogbo could have went to any of these other teams if they offered him the right money, but I mean, we're talking about self-isolation for ourselves. The guy's getting probably nobody else to talk to.
Without Gogic there,
without having to buy them a whiskey. You know?
And we're talking about, mentioned self-isolation there. I thought we'd throw in a fun question so we're not all doom and gloom talking about what will happen this season, who will sign, who will not. It's a silly question. If you were forced to self-isolate with an Accies player currently in the team, who would you pick to self-isolate with?
You can go.
It's a silly question.
I know who yours would be.
I've got my answer.
Let me come here.
Feel bastard when they get it.
Funnily enough, my answer is also Adam McGowan.
Well, if that's your pick, then I'll leave you to have AJ and I'll pick someone else.
Alright, okay.
So you give us a reason why.
I would say AJ because he comes across as a very funny guy. He seems to be a good laugh to get along with. He seems as if he's got some quite good stories. He's Liverpudlian, they tend to. I don't know if that's offensive to say Liverpudlians somehow have some amazing experiences, but to me he just seems like the most fun. He seems like the kind of guy who I got along with the most.
He just seems like an absolute football fan.
Yeah. I mean, we saw the whole FIFA thing that came out. Obviously, he stopped doing the
fair play to him.
I can't even remember the team. He stopped doing the FIFA tournament because it was sponsored by the Sun, or the team is sponsored by the Sun. He doesn't want to be involved in that. Fair play to him. He put a message up to Aki's fans, a video, wishing us good health and he'll see us soon. He always interacts with fans after games. For me, he just seems like the person I would get along with most. But that's just my opinion.
I don't know whose ones would be.
Brandon seems to.
I know mine easily now since you've stole my AJ off me. Scotty Martin.
That's not a bad shout.
Obviously after the game at the end of last season, when we last game of the season, they've came over to the vaults and they've got a drink with us, and I've got videos on my phone. Scotty Martin. Let me try and see if I can find it. Just so I can play the audio to it.
There's a great video of them at the vaults. Adam McGowan.
But no, like if we're in self-isolation and he's not having to train, and me and him are having to stay in the house, I can guarantee he would have a boat of wine every few hours with each other, know what I mean? So he'd definitely be on it. He'd definitely be up for getting it on it with me.
If you find the video, let us know. And
I will do.
We'll bring it back and we'll listen to it. David, you get to pick
who's mine would be? I think if it was overall, Aki's players probably would have to be the B, because that was the. I think that was when it was Brian McPhee's time. That was me just falling in love with football, and that's I'm probably wrong, but that was the first kind of proper delivering striker I've ever seen Hamilton have. No. And then probably after that was maybe to a higher extent Richard Offiong, because again me and my dad used to argue week in week out about Richard Offiong, because my dad would get so frustrated the guy had no work rate, didn't look fit because this guy's legs were like tree trunks, but at the end of the day, man, he scored a ton of goals and I absolutely idolised the guy for it.
I mean, I think that ties in quite nicely to what was going to be my next kind of. Have you got it?
I found it. Like as you can see, there's about 9 videos here for that time, because honestly, they came up to the vaults, we're all steaming, we've stayed up, and it was just phenomenal.
If you hold up
I will do.
We'll be able to hear the audio.
Right, so.
I don't know if maybe we might not be able to hear that. It's a video basically of Scott Martin. Seems to be.
And look, you can just look at Aaron McGowan, and we'll start it from the beginning. Obviously, you just can't see, and if he's want a link, I'll send you out. Look at Scotty Martin.
For those who can't see it, Scott Martin and Aaron McGowan are quite clearly intoxicated, let's say, at the vaults, jumping up and down on the seats, celebrating that they sent them down to 10 spots. That's fantastic. That's the best thing I've seen in a long time. David was talking about Richard Offiong and Brian McPhee. Ties me quite into my next question, which is going to be: do you have a favourite all-time Accies player? Someone who you hold to such a high regard. He's the main person.
Easy.
He's the main man. Oh, David's got one. Easy.
You go first.
Sir Alex, 100%.
Okay.
I mean, you got to think the players he had in that team, especially in that midfield around him. I mean, you had James McCarthy, one of the best talents in Scotland at the point. James MacArthur, probably a close second behind him, but the guy was just class. I remember I was quite young at the time, but I used to watch him and Ali Crawford warm up together, and they would do the kind of 20-30 yard passes to each other, and the guy just had an unbelievable touch, and he was just class. Even at his later years, when we were just promoted the last time there, the guy still had it. He was just different class. Probably the best midfielder I've seen play for Accies.
One of the best managers, of course, obviously.
Easy.
They did after.
But mine's will be controversial. Don't get me wrong, my first player I remember as a young, like, proper wee guy going to football, the first ever Aki's memory was a Jose Katongo goal. I don't even know what age I was. I'm 4 or 5 or something, and it's my first ever memory of Aki's game. He's dribbled past a few players, and he was one on one with the keeper at the halfway line. It was a counter attack. I don't know who we were playing. I think it was maybe Forfar, like a lower league team, and he's been one on one with the keeper for the halfway line, and he's rounded the keeper and just done a wee tap into the open goal. But my all-time favourite Aki, and just because there's only ever been one Hamilton Aki's player. Like, Aki's have made me cry a few times, but there's only like,
good or bad,
bad and good. But the only ever player that's ever made me cry, and it'll be controversial, is Tony Andrew.
Is he your favourite? What you would hold him to the favourite of all time?
Because the thing, obviously he's went to like St Mirren's, but we don't know the background to stuff like that, so that's why I don't hold a sort of massive grudge towards the whole thing. But just we wouldn't be where we are the now without the things he done in the championship, and he done, and like the memories he gave us. Do you know? So like, there's players that are much better than him, don't get me wrong, like your McCarthy's, your Alex Neil's, the B that gave us memories. But no, like, I've got a picture of him up in my living room. That's how you go in my living room, there's a picture of Tony and the Mac at that goal at Hibs, signed by both of them.
Yeah.
So
I get that. I mean, like you said, he wasn't the best player we've ever had, but we got him at his best, and that doesn't happen a lot for us.
And it's the memories that they've given, like, these past few years, no other Aki's fans have got to see. Do you know what I mean?
The two Jameses have done better since they've left Aki's. Alec Neil could potentially have done better before he went to Aki's. I mean, I didn't really know of him until he came to Aki's, but that, like, you've seen it yourself. Andrew did nothing at United, didn't really do anything at us the second time.
Norwich as well, like when
nothing
they went there. Coventry.
Rotherham, I think, was the last team he was at before coming back to us.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about players that maybe like Blair Olsen doesn't suit us. We got Andrew and he just fitted like a glove.
But I remember the first time we saw him, he was a friendly, he was a trialist 22 away to Airdrie.
I've got a tweet. I've still got it on my page. I remember I was working that day and he came on as a sub. I'm sure it was Airdrie.
It was Airdrie.
And it was, I sent a tweet in saying who was the trialist, and I think it was Scott Struthers doing Twitter. He got back to us and he said it's Tony Andrew, previously a Livingston, and I've still got the tweet. I've photoed it and everything. Because you've got to admit that on paper is just another shit signing. The guy was released by an average Livy team, had no desire for us to go in for a guy like that, but he just fitted us perfectly. He's definitely up there.
I think my favourite player, I said in an interview before with, it was the Celtic programme, they asked for an Aki's fan opinion, and I said Mikel-Antoine Curie, the Mac, would be mine, purely because that his kind of grace period was the period where I really started paying attention to Aki's and really started attending games and, you know, really got involved. Was right as the Mac, and it used to infuriate me because he used to do this thing, and I used to shout abuse, and I used to do this thing where he would be like, him and a defender would chase the same ball down the wing. The defender would get it, and he would stop and applaud the defender. He would stop and turn around and clap the defender as if, "Oh, well done, you've kind of outsmarted me," and that used to absolutely infuriate me. But I was like, it doesn't matter. No, it's the Mac. I can't argue with it. If it wasn't the Mac, I would say Dougie Emery. Right. And purely, he's a player who you would hate to play against but love to have on your team. And I think that just engulfed who he was. He loved playing against Motherwell. He loved scoring against Motherwell. He loved the rivalries. We know he's a Rangers fan, but he loved playing against Celtic and Rangers and winding them up. He put everything on the pitch all the time. I don't think there was a game that he played where he didn't give 100%. And he kind of created this legendary status. Now that he came to us, he proved certain people wrong, and deservedly so. He's got that legendary status, captain, legend, hero. I remember the big banner. And now he's
like you would never expect that about 15 years ago from what you remember that Clyde game when we played them. So I definitely.
I think all the players we've just talked about are perfect examples though. Well, going back to the transfer policy, I mean, Tony Andrew released for Levy. End of the day, we got him because nobody else was going for him. Mikel Antoine Curie, I'm sure it was a loan. We were Premiership and Dundee were Championship.
Yeah, it was.
Again, no getting a game for a Championship team. We took him, not desirable at all, and the two of them delivered. They just suited us. And then you've got, on the other hand, what we're all kind of pushing for with Dougie Imrie. I remember, I'm sure his first game was away to Motherwell. I'm sure that was his debut, or it was the first time I saw him. We were away to Motherwell and he just put some shift in, and you just thought, because I'm sure it was decent money we spent. I mean, I don't know what the figure was like, but I'm sure it was something like 30-50 grand or something.
55 grand or something like that. No, I remember. I actually definitely paid money for him.
As soon as we did that, and seen him play, I thought that is a class signing.
Yeah.
This is why we should start spending money. I mean, the last guy I thought that way was George Oakley. Now, don't get me wrong, you could probably talk about him last season and this season with two different players, but at the end of the day, we spent money on a guy. The first thing he does is score a double in his debut.
Yeah.
You think, why are we not spending money? Because when you do spend money, it's not like they just rush into it like they do with the free agents. It's the right guy. So
I think the person going on about talking about spending money on folk, just bringing it back to like a sort of transfer. Damien Castellano. That miss against Dundee United. We spent money on him.
Was that not 50 grand?
50 grand we spent on him, and I think ever since that we've just completely we stopped for a long period of time spending money on players, because we actually defied what our transfer policy was. Gave Dundee United this. Was it Dundee United we bought him for? Because he was sort of similar to the Mac, that type of our striker, one up top player, and he was fucking pish, so bad. And he's now, because we were talking about him in a group chat not long ago, and I just thought, fuck it, we do this whatever so often, was trying to see what old Aki's players are doing.
Mate, I do that quite, all Wikipedia pages and all that.
He's like an insurance broker in Argentina now or something mental like that, man. But aye, so that, I think that sums up why we don't spend money to a certain extent.
I think we could do it better. I mean, you talked earlier about, obviously this year might be a bit different, but pre-contracts, I mean, there's definitely guys. I think George Oakley's a player.
Aye.
I think there is something in there with him. He's had a kind of start of the season. Granted, he's been in and out. He's scored some big goals, but again, I didn't know who he was when we got him. I'd never heard of him.
And he scored 14 goals at Inverness when we signed him at the time.
Inverness fans were raging on Twitter.
That was the first thing that. I mean, we're talking about the recent signings. I mean, those were the first kind of few signings. I mean, you talk about Oakley and McGowan, when other fans are gutted to see them go.
Aberdeen fans were adamant they were signing him, because I remember the first tweet, and I saw it. I saw the tweet, and it was League One star linked with Scottish club, and everybody was trying to piece together who it might be, because we were about to sign the defender at that point. So like, surely no, this isn't Aaron McGowan for us, and
it ended up being so. Which thank goodness we did, because you know, he's now a captain with Brian Easton out injured. He's playing fantastically.
I had an issue with him though. How many times have we signed a player? Probably Dougie Imrie is another player that comes in that, where he's just hit the ground straight away and just delivered. I mean, he's definitely easy English Championship at some point.
Yeah, well that's what we talked about in the last podcast, where we would love to sign him down. That, you know, we would love to have him signed down another year. The rumour is that we've offered a contract, whether that gets signed we don't know. But we said that we reckon soon enough he'll be back in England playing the Championship at least.
Because I remember he obviously mentioned it in the first podcast. I don't think he's stupid though. I mean, you look at a guy like Sam Stubbs. Sam Stubbs was a class above when he came here. He didn't get a look in, and Middlesbrough that like 20th in that league.
Nah, they're the proper bottom of the
field. I think AJ knows that, like, there's probably quite a few players in our team that could get a move, but whether you go in to actually start playing is a different thing. And then you might find this whole coronavirus thing might give people perspective as well. I mean, that's the best part of the year off, like, well, half a season maybe away off a short career. So I think AJ, if the offer's right, he would stay to get another year. I mean, at the end of the day, he's fit, he plays every game.
Even
think,
with an injury.
I think he's aware of that, where I think he'll move to a team he'll go into. So I don't think he'll be in any rush to go. I mean, look at Stephen Hendry, for example. He was a decent player, but the move, you could say, killed his career.
A £1 million move to West Ham. I don't think he played a single game.
Nah, straight out loan. And to be fair, he was, when he was like on Hendry, it was
decent.
He was decent. Like, he was that type of. This is when the sort of attacking fullbacks was coming into play as much. He was constantly up and down the wing, putting in good balls, sort of similar to what Scott McMahon is doing now. But he was obviously a much younger age, and he was doing that since I think he made his first team appearance for Accies, maybe 16-year-old Stephen Hendry. So that's what's obviously West Ham have saw what we've done with McCarthy, etc. And he was our sort of next person to sort of make that. And because he was an attacking fullback, he's went. But it was just such a silly move at the time for him.
I was so surprised when I seen it too, because it was in at the end of his contract and it was a development fee. But fair play to him, and he's played for some half decent clubs now, but he's got no stability, I don't think.
I mean, when he started for Kelly,
and
he was last game, and I don't think he did anything outstanding. Like,
he did. I don't think he was like that. He was. You wouldn't know he was.
Terrible,
you wouldn't know he was there.
No,
do you know what I mean?
I would take him back if we ever had the option again. I mean, I think we can do guys like him some good, where maybe a bit more stability, something he's used to. And I mean, Sheena, I think, is more a centre half now. I don't think he's played left back at all. I mean, Johnny Hunt isn't a left back. We'd play him centre midfield. So I mean, I think Scott McMahon's got a move in him eventually. Stephen Hendry, somebody I would be happy to replace him with.
That actually ties into the final question just as we realise this podcast has been going on a little bit. A little bit longer than intended, but we'll end with this final question. They asked about who you bring back. This was another one I was going to ask. I'm going to take away MacArthur and McCarthy because I think they're the two obvious choices. Former Accies players who are still playing today. If you could bring one back, who would you bring back? Like I said, I'm taking away MacArthur and McCarthy because I think they're the obvious options playing in the Premier League. Any other player that's been at Accies at some point who's still playing, who would you bring back?
That's a difficult
It could
one.
be sentimental. You could bring a Tony Andrew back for
No,
final farewell.
because what's happened, I wouldn't bring him back, to be honest. Even though as much as I love it, there's too many fans that come certain French racial names that I would say.
When he was playing obviously against St Mirren, whenever he got the ball, he was booed.
It was booed.
I remember at the St Mirren game away, the one each game where we missed a penalty. He took a corner right down next to the Accies fans.
I remember some of them.
I don't know what it is, but the reception was horrific.
Some of the things were funny, but I won't repeat. But
no,
nah.
But some of them. But if you could pick one player to bring back,
it's currently playing.
I'm taking away MacArthur for the obvious reasons.
I'm struggling to think of ones that are.
I can tell you who I would bring back in a heartbeat.
So this is them playing the now.
So
their ability right now. Or their ability back when they were at Accies.
As they are right now. As they are right now. I can tell you who I would bring back in a heartbeat.
Who?
I'd bring back Greg Docherty.
How have I just forgot about him? Honestly,
I would have him back.
Oh my god!
That's the thing. What annoyed me was he's obviously at Hibs and doing fantastically well. I think I saw the stats. It was like in 5 games he scored 2 or 3 assists or something. Like he was outstanding. I'd have him back even before he went on loan to Hibs when he was Rangers. I'd take him
he used
back
to be my screensaver on my phone.
Oh.
How I forgot about him, I don't know. Like me and Naylor were heartbroken. He was another one where I didn't cry as much as I did with Andrew, but I was heartbroken when Greg Docherty, because we were adamant he wasn't going to Rangers, and I think it was silly, but I think he will prove everybody wrong, and he will be a really good player.
You're just a tart. Anybody can buy a whiskey. I'm just going to say that. No, I mean, I was definitely, when I mentioned Greg Docherty, I would like to have known that we made a move for him, surely. I mean, it was absolutely heartbreaking to see the guy just nowhere near any football for a team that, I think, the thing that doesn't get mentioned enough is I don't think any Accies fan had any hard feelings for the guy going to Rangers, because it was evident how much of a Rangers
Well,
fan he
I think
was.
it's more so in the way it was after it, his whole family doing the parade around fucking Murray Park and all that. It's just.
I think there was a fans forum just after he left, and Alan Maitland was there. Who else was there? Ronnie McDonald was there. Colin McGowan was there. It was a proper big thing. And one of the questions people had asked was, why was Greg Docherty allowed to leave? And I do agree, it's his boyhood club. His family are obviously Rangers fans. He himself a Rangers fan. I'm sure if we were playing and Accies came and knocked at the door and said we wanted us, we would jump at it. Especially if it was obviously a move up, which at the time Rangers was. And he probably suspected he would get a chance. And he just never really did. But with the way he's currently performing, even before that, I would have Greg Docherty back in a heartbeat.
Lewis Ferguson's one that could probably come under
That's
that.
how good shout.
Seen enough of him.
I mean, he only played
Ferguson will go to Rangers.
13 games or something.
He'll go to Rangers
Eventually.
next season, in my opinion. And you've sort of brought things back to my head. I've picked Greg Docherty 1,000,000%,
Yeah.
but you choose him, you choose Ferguson, which I think are probably two of the best ones. I think the next one would be Eamon Brophy.
Ooh, I don't know if I would have him, but
No?
not based on his ability, because I think he's a
Again.
good cracking striker, but purely based on the obvious hatred he has for the club.
I don't think he does.
I don't
I
know.
don't think he
I
is
think
it.
he
No,
does.
his best pal. He's shown once one of his best pals.
Yeah,
you
but
know what
I
I
think
mean?
I think that's different.
I think his hatred would come from the fact that he wasn't given his chance, and I don't think he was given his chance for the fact that it didn't suit our style of play.
he's played
We
out wide quite a lot.
we were the sort of big man up top, one up top
Aye.
player,
Yeah.
and he's went through youth. He was scoring barrel loads, so he's the one that popped into my mind as soon as you said.
I got to admit, like, I'd never really seen it for him, but like I said, when we brought in players and they've found their club with us, I think that he's found his at Killie. So hopefully he doesn't get a stupid move and kill his career, because it is good to see him do well. But like you said, when we bring guys through, I mean, the hardest job in the world must be being a striker for Accies.
Yeah.
I mean, Andy Ryan scored barrels of goals for the reserve team. He was one of the highest regarded at that point. They just didn't deliver it. Brophy was the same. I mean, don't get me wrong, probably my optimism more than anything would like to think that the boy Andy Winter's going to be different.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's not an easy job kind of establishing yourself when you're the only man up front, or you only get one or two chances a game. It's probably why one of the positions we've never really brought through is a striker, or an effective striker.
And you're hoping Andy Winter will be.
Aye, we'd love to see it. I mean, the Edinburgh City game, it wasn't the most exciting game. It was good to see us pumping, but when he came on and took his goal, I felt like he's dash right
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
Just when
listen, and I know his sister Jennifer, and when I was standing filming outside the. What was that for?
You know her.
When I was standing outside the stadium, all his family walked past, and I've never seen a more happy family, a more jubilant family than that walking past. They were over the moon.
It seems as if up there, like up in his head,
Switched on.
he's switched on. Like, he doesn't seem that type of young, up and coming footballer mentality, flashy, showing it off on Twitter and all that. You can tell with his tweets and stuff like that. He's certainly clued on, and fingers crossed. But going back, the Pat Shaw twins.
The Shaw twins. Oh my god, the Shaw twins.
Just for
That's a throwback.
just for the sort of
Just for the banner.
The bands. Just for the bands.
One of them was pish. I can't remember what one it is.
But he's the one that's doing good now. He's the one that's scoring a barrel loads.
Can I say one of them? I remember. My grandpa was alive. He used to sit and watch Sky Sports, and there was a report that came up that said, can't remember if it was Flavio or Marco. One of them was in genuine consideration for the Portugal team.
Because he was scoring for a Polish team barrel loads. He was in the Europa League. I remember watching them one game. They went to a few teams after Accies together. But then he was with a Polish team. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Legia Warsaw or.
Oh, it was.
And it was the green top. It was, and it was scoring for fun.
Yep.
So see just for the bants.
Bring
them back.
I remember. We'll end on this, but I remember They used to do like an open day over the summer at Accies, and you used to go down, have like a one-on-one with the keeper, meet Ham and the hamster, go into the dressing room, and that was Billy Reid and all that was there. So I remember I went, I met Billy Reid, I met Doug Emery, I got a Doug Emery shirt, and it had a nutmeg to McGovern in goal, just throwing that out there. No, it couldn't have been McGovern then. I can't remember who it was, but I nutmeg the keeper. I remember
Tierney.
It would have been Tierney. Nutmeg the keeper. A penalty shootout, the greatest moments of my life. And I remember the Pachow twins. My sister used to come to the football. She'll hate me for telling this story, but she used to heavy fancy the Pachow twins, but didn't know which one she fancied.
Fucking Jedward.
She didn't know which one she fancied. She knew it was one of them, but she wasn't big enough of an Accies fan to know who was who.
No.
And then we went up and we were meeting them, and she went up and she was like, "Oh, Flavio, love it, I really like you." And she brought her phone out. It was her phone screen cover and all that. And Flavio was like, "Thank you very much, thank you very much." And then kind of had a pause and went, "That's not me." And she was actually Marco's brother. So that was a very good time. I very much enjoyed that. That was great. I think this podcast has went on long enough.
Aye.
I don't know how long it's been, but we've covered quite a lot there actually. Hopefully the next time you hear from us we'll have something football to talk about, not just the coronavirus. If you guys have any suggestions for what you want to hear us talk about, let us know over on Twitter, or you can leave it in the comments on the YouTube video. Bryn?
And I've got a question for everybody. So if you want to try and do this quiz, so name 7 former Hamilton Accies players who since 2013 have been in a losing Scottish Cup final.
Wow, alright. This is Clyde Super Scoreboard.
There
Here we go.
Bit of involvement for you.
So that's your question then for any Accies fans. Can you name 7 Accies players since 2013 who have been in a losing Scottish Cup final? We'll have the answers. Let us know over on Twitter, over on Facebook, or again in the comment section of this YouTube video. Brandon, thank you very much for coming on again, man. It was a pleasure. And of course, David, thank you for joining us. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next time.